when the Armenians lost the Second Artsakh War and handed over lots of regions to Azerbaijan, it was quite clear to me, and I warned it multiple times, and I hate to say this, that I warned you, because I do not like this attitude, but it was quite clear to me that this is not going to end here, because from the side of Azerbaijan and Turkey, their business is not over yet, and they still have further aspirations in the Armenian territories. Therefore, I always compare it to the Palestinian cause, for example. What the Palestinians have done from the 90s is the Oslo Accords, and they went to Madrid, and they gave one-sided concessions to the Israeli side, and they ended up by now a fragmented country. There is no connectivity between the geographies that the Palestinian Authority is in control of. It's basically, like Noam Chomsky says, it's a chicken nuggets connected with checkpoints from the Israeli occupation side. So the rule number one should be, when you want to give concessions or strike a peace deal with your enemy, is that your enemy is willing to adhere to the principles of a peace agreement. And this doesn't exist in Baku and in Ankara. This is number one. Number two, even if we put aside all this, geographically speaking, the region of Artsakh represented a buffer zone between Armenia proper and Azerbaijan. And from the military point of view, it's very important for Armenia to hold this territory in order to keep the danger away from Armenia proper. This is very simple geomilitary aspect. And this was the case, for example, after the Lebanese civil war, when the Syrian side intervened militarily in Lebanon, because the Israeli side also intervened. So the rule of engagement was, we fight each other on the Lebanese territories. Syria wants to fight Israel on the Lebanese territories, so that the infighting and the fighting do not split into the Syrian territories. And once Syria withdrew in a humiliating way from Lebanon in 2005, the fighting has moved to Syria in 2011. This was very clear that it's going to happen also in Armenia. And I am saying this with a heavy heart. I do believe that there is going to be battles inside the Armenian territories when and or if the Armenians lose Artsakh completely. And in my opinion, if Pashinyan stays in power longer, in the next, let's say, a year or two, we're going to face one of these two scenarios. One, it's either Armenia is going to lose Artsakh completely by military means from the Azerbaijani side, which means complete ethnic cleansing, which means the Armenians will be forced to move to Armenia proper. Or second, they will be absorbed in the Azerbaijani society, which has millions of Azeri people, which also practically means that they will be assimilated in the Azeri society on the short and the medium run. And they will also lose their identity. They will lose their culture, and accordingly, it will also be a sort of an ethnic cleansing. So, in my opinion, if Pashinyan stays in power, Armenians are going to lose Artsakh, whether through diplomatic means or through a military means, and in both cases, they're going to lose it for Azerbaijan. And this is the sad reality that I would like for the Armenians also to know, and to revive their national identity, and to believe that Armenian nationalism is not an offensive ideology that is going to expand in the region, or a fascistic, let's say, ideology. It's a defense mechanism, because you are sandwiched between two hostile countries, Turkey and Azerbaijan, and both of them are actively working to eliminate you from the region.
Listen, in Nazi-occupied Europe, you have to remember, most of the populations made the choice to live under the Nazis. All of this talk about a French resistance is just a joke. It never happened. The French resistance, about 20% of the French population read the resistance newspaper. There were maybe 10% of the French who resisted. The rest said, don't resist, because the Nazis were ruthless. You resist, 400 are killed for each soldier that's killed. That's how the Nazis operated. So that most of the French said, like you, we want to live. Don't resist. But now I have to ask you, in retrospect, who do we honor? Do we honor those who say, let us live? Or do we honor those who said, let's resist?
The other day I was watching a video for Dr. Norman Finkelstein. He is a Jewish scholar and a son of a Holocaust survivor. He was talking about the European resistance against the Nazis during World War II, and he was basically saying that all this talk about the French resistance against the Nazis is just a joke. Only 10 to 20% of the French people used to read the resistance newspaper, and very few people wanted to resist. The majority back then was saying, we want to live, don't resist, because the Nazis were ruthless. Every Nazi you kill, 100 of your population would die if you resisted against the Nazis, right? But in retrospect, now in 2023, who do we honor? Who do we respect? Do we respect those who were saying, don't resist, we want to live? Or do we respect and commemorate the memory and honor the memory of the people who actually resisted against the Nazis? Why I'm bringing this example? Because I want to follow up on the topic of what's happening nowadays in Artsakh or Nagorno-Karabakh, Armenia, against and with Azerbaijan. As you can see, and from the reports and from the footage, Azerbaijan is massing its troops. They are building up on the borders with Armenia and Artsakh. And I suspect that Azerbaijan may attack Armenia proper and Nagorno-Karabakh together. And there are many Armenians, I don't know the percentage of them, but they're commenting on my Twitter account, and they say, we want to live, don't resist. Let's strike a deal with Azerbaijan. Let's strike a peace deal with Azerbaijan. A peace deal with the enemy needs, from the other side, to respect the basics of the peace agreement, right? Azerbaijan isn't interested in a peace agreement. It's interested in pieces of land from the Armenian side. Therefore, my message is, don't ridicule the people who want to resist. And I'm not calling for anyone to go to the front line and die on the front line. I'm not calling for anyone to go against their will and fight. But those who chose to fight, whether through arms or intellectually, don't ridicule these people, because 100 years from now, we will honor these people, and we will not honor you. Those who are saying, let us live, we want to live, don't resist, etc., etc. 100 years ago, after the Armenian genocide, when Armenian heroes assassinated the perpetrators and the planners of the Armenian ethnic cleansing, we celebrate them up until to this day. We do not celebrate the people who back then said, let us live, we don't resist, we want to live, and all this stuff, right? So it's quite sad, actually, to see that there are Armenians who are so defeated spiritually, intellectually, and on a national level. If the Armenians lose Artsakh, I can assure you, the battles will move inside the Armenian territories, and it will not end up until Azerbaijan and Turkey completely cleans the Armenians from the region, and they create their pan-Turanic and fascistic empire there. Erdogan only 10 years ago, 13 years ago, he was expanding in Syria, in Libya, in Egypt, in Tunisia, and all these places, whether through its proxies or through its military force, also in Iraq. He was talking about the revival of the Ottoman Empire. I do not understand how do people have forgotten about that. It was only a decade ago. Anyways, I just wanted to make this video because I was a little bit pissed off.